Hi, today we have Kayla Minor, who is going to talk to us about her study abroad experience. Kayla, do you mind sharing your first and last name, what you are studying here at UIC, where you studied abroad, and why you selected that program?
So my name is Kayla Minor. I am a senior at UIC and I'm studying rehabilitation sciences, and I'm a minor in disability and human development. And I studied abroad in Paris, France. And I decided to study abroad in specifically Paris because I always wanted to go to Paris. This is one of those locations that I was always interested in studying, at least visiting. And it seemed like something that seemed like more of like a distant dream, more like a distant goal. But when I was finally able to have the opportunity, I decided to take advantage of it and go to Paris.
And why did you choose to study abroad in general? What made you interested in pursuing this high impact experience?
I decided to study abroad because I always understood the importance of traveling, the importance of going out of your comfort zone and just taking the opportunity to learn about other cultures, learning other languages, and just, challenge your biases, challenge your, your ethnocentrism that you don't realize that you may have. It's so important to just push out of your comfort zone and just go and explore and learn from others.
And you were able to study abroad through a unique process. You applied to the Frederick Douglass Fellowship Program through CIEE. Can you tell us a little bit more about that process and how it funded your study abroad?
Yeah, sure. So I was notified about the Frederick Douglass Global Fellowship from someone at the university. So the application process, it was pretty intensive. I had to write an essay. I also had to do a 3 to 4 minute recording of myself speaking. So some of the topics that they wanted us to cover in the recording was to go over like why we decided to study abroad, and how we hope to like advance positive positive change in our communities from studying abroad. So we had to talk a little bit about that. And then we also had to submit a copy of our transcripts, and we also needed a letter of recommendation from a faculty member or someone in our school of a position of like a higher position. So I guess like a dean of students.
So the Frederick Douglass Fellowship Global Fellowship is a cohort model where a group of students go to a different location every year. However, you actually were not selected for the fellowship, but you were instead selected for the scholarship. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that worked?
Right. So if everybody, sorry. So when they have people who apply, so if you're eligible to be chosen for the program, and even if you're not chosen, you are given a grant that you can use to study abroad. And I was given a list of locations I could have chose to use that grant for. And as I mentioned before, Paris is one of those locations, so I chose to use that grant towards that. And another great thing about CIEE is they offer a lot of funding opportunities. So I was awarded that grant, the Frederick Douglass Summer Scholarship Grant. And then I was also awarded the Global Access Initiative Grant. It's short for the GAIN Travel Grant. And they also have a grant called the Go Gilman Grant. So that's for students who apply for the Gilman Scholarship. So even if you're not awarded the Gilman Scholarship, they still offer you a grant. So it's a lot of opportunities to fund your study abroad opportunity.
Wonderful. So why, in your opinion, do you think other UIC students who might be considering studying abroad should take advantage of the opportunity to study abroad?
Wow. Well, there's so many reasons why I think it's so important to study abroad. For one thing, it gives you the opportunity to get to learn a lot more about yourself and get to learn a lot more about the country that you go to. And yeah, I just think it's a great opportunity, and it's so important to like go out of your comfort zone, because it's so easy to be like, okay, this is, where I'm comfortable at, but you're never going to grow unless you challenge yourself and push your limits. So studying abroad will give UIC students a great opportunity to push their limits and grow as people.
And so you talk about the benefits of growing personally. How do you feel you personally grew from having experienced study abroad?
Well, I definitely grew in confidence. At first, like I never traveled out the country before. I never or traveled by myself before, so it was definitely a scary experience, and I was definitely uncomfortable. I remember when I first landed in Paris, I was super nervous. I never felt like so alone. I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's speaking French, like what's going on? But I can honestly say that if I wasn't so uncomfortable, I wouldn't have grown to have the confidence that I do have today. So I feel really empowered to go and travel, even if it's by myself or it's with other people. I feel more empowered to challenge myself and continue to exploring around the world.
And so how do you feel that you grew professionally or academically as a result of your study abroad experience? Has it impacted your career goals or your long-term trajectory? You can highlight any experiences that you might want to share with us.
One way that I definitely saw myself growing is increased communication skills, because when you are going to different countries, a language barrier, so you have to use, alternate forms of communication. Everything isn't directly verbal, and you have to be able to pick up on social cues. And for me, my career goal is to be an occupational therapist, and I may encounter some patients who have like speech impediments, and I may have to think about alternate ways to communicate with them. So I definitely was able to nurture that skill while studying abroad. And you asked, how did I grow personally from that experience?
Or academically is the other.
Academically, yeah. I think one way I grew academically is to, I guess, challenge my way and think about things in a new way. Because my professor at the CIEE University, she was a French professor. So there's many differences between the French education system and the American education system. So I kind of had to learn how to adapt to that alternate system and challenge myself. So that was another opportunity that I had to grow academically while studying abroad.
The next a little bit more about the challenges that are associated with study abroad. We all know it is possible and accessible. However, there are barriers that we as administrators or students encounter when deciding to pursue study abroad. Can you talk about some of those that you might have experienced and how you might have used resources to overcome those?
One of the biggest challenge, I guess, was like fear and nervousness, definitely on my part and also on the part of my parents. The first time that I asked them to study abroad, they actually said no. They're like, no, you can't go, you don't speak French, and like, no. So I was really nervous, but I did reach out to the organization. I reached out to CIEE, and one of the faculty members, well, not faculty members, one of the staff members they connected me to, I reached out to her and I was saying, my parents, they're having nervousness about the programs. There are a lot of questions that they need to answer. And she called my mom directly and she spoke to her and answered all of her questions. She spoke to her for as long as she needed to, and she was definitely, and after that, she felt comfortable saying yes. So I think a lot of times when we don't understand something or we have like a lot of questions, we are fearful and we kind of want to push it away. So I think that if students, they do have issues with like being afraid because they may not understand enough about the program, or if their parents are afraid to allow them to go. I think just definitely reaching out to the organizations and just trying to learn as much as you can to definitely give you more of the confidence to go. And another one of the barriers was definitely financial. I knew that if I were to study abroad in college, I would have to have scholarships because my parents, they couldn't afford to send me somewhere. So I know I listed off some of the scholarships, so CIEE and also the Frederick Douglass Summer Scholarship Grant that I was able to receive. It made my dream possible.
Yes, there are a lot of scholarships that students don't know about. So I think it's a
Right.
testament to you that you were able to identify all of these and take the time to apply to them. So good work. The Other thing just involving like once you got there, as I'm sure you noticed, there were a lot of additional expenses
Right.
you had to budget for. So how did you budget while you were abroad? Any advice you have for students who might want to do international independent travel or just day-to-day living expenses, how you budgeted that?
I think one piece of advice I would give is try not to eat out as much. I know when I first got to Paris, I was eating out a lot because, you know, it's exciting. You want to try a lot of different foods. And when I like actually thought about it, I was like, wow, I'm spending a lot of money buying all my meals. So I actually started going grocery shopping more and making sure I had like, you know, stuff to make sandwiches, stuff to have like cereal, you know, like the basic staple things. So I'm not eating out on every meal and maybe just eat out once a day instead of, you know, 3 times a day. That's another great way to study abroad, to save money while studying abroad. Another thing is to look into discounted tickets while studying abroad. A lot of programs, a lot of sites, like tour sites, they will like offer discounted tickets to students. So I remember a lot of times we would, they gave us a student ID. So we would show our ID and we're able to get like discounted prices in so many places, you know, like the Louvre and Versailles. We didn't have to spend as much. So that was definitely a way to save money because visiting a lot of sites that does add up, and also looking at free events. Not everything has to be, you know, spending money. You can go, and I remember we would go to like the Eiffel Tower and just sit and talk, and we would bring like snacks. So everything doesn't have to be, you know, spending, you know, money.
Excellent. Yes. I'm sure the Paris grocery stores were also very enjoyable with the cheeses and the
Yeah.
breads and everything like
Yes.
that, even if you were
Yeah.
budgeting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to share with students who are considering studying abroad that I might not have asked about yet?
I guess one last piece of advice I would give is to just go for it. I know you mentioned that there are scholarships available, and a lot of times students they don't know about it. I know me personally, I didn't know about all of these scholarships. I just thought that studying abroad was like a pipe dream. I didn't think it was realistic. But there's so many scholarships that are available, and it's just, you know, going to the financial aid office, going to the study abroad office, and even asking them. And I think we would be surprised by, you know, fact that how attainable study abroad really is.
Thank you so much for your time, Kayla. We appreciated being able to talk to you, and we hope that your advice will help other students pursue study abroad in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.